We're talking today, last week we discussed the Yehurim. Come back to now talking about Shemiras Einayim. Shemiras Einayim is mamish something that's real. This is not like a midas chasidus. It is a very, very serious, it's a very serious aveira. It has a din like Abizraya de Gilei Arayis, which in certain cases has a din Yahar Gaval Yavar. The Gemara in Sanhedrin brings us Maise about a certain person who got sick, and the only way that the doctor said he was going to get better is if he saw a certain woman, and Chazal, the Rabbanim said better that he should die. Better that he should die. The Maise, we see that this is something very serious. Every type of sight, every type of looking is also, generally when we're talking about looking, that's what we discussed way in the beginning. There's a difference between Riyah Ba'alma. The truth is, Rabbi Greenberg said when he said the halacha shir on this, Riyah Ba'alma versus Histaklus. What's the difference between them? We said that Riyah Ba'alma is not considered asur, and Histaklus is. Histaklus is looking for the intent of looking. That's what we've been talking about the whole time. I'm not here to talk about what is not asur, because obviously it's not nogeah. There are different ways that the way we look with some of these things that we've discussed already. Some of it just might be chazara, but there are certain ways that when a person looks at something, how it affects you. When you look at something, so you're taking it in. The eyes are a gateway to the neshama. The eyes are of the purest ways to get straight to the neshama. It was brought down from Ben Ish Chai in Parshas V'eschanan in Sefer Odi Yosef Chai that the face represents the different levels of a pleasure that a person can get. The lowest is the mouth. The mouth represents consuming food. That's the Gashmias in Olam Hazeh. Next up is the nose. The nose takes in reach. Reach is something that's more ruchani, which is why the Ketores, or the avodah of the Ketores, was a higher level of avodah than the others. It was avodah inside versus the Karbonos, which were outside. The Ketores was avodah inside. It was an avodah of reach, which is something more ruchani. And the highest level are the eyes. The eyes are considered to be the highest level, and I'm talking about on the face, yeah? The eye is the highest level, and when we're talking about the highest level, we're talking about being roya, whatever it means to be roya pnei shechina. The re'iyah, the la'asid level, when a Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to be Megala himself, like the Gemara at the end of Tainis, it says that all the tzaddikim, everyone will be around, and they'll be able to point and say, okay, this is Hashem. It's the Gilui Shechina, the Aspaklaria Me'ira that tzaddikim will have. It's all talking about the eyes. The eyes have this special way of taking in something, and it becomes part of you. You connect to that thing becomes part of you. So whenever a person looks at something, that is one of the things that he's doing. He's taking that thing that he's looking at and he's bringing it into him. So if a person is looking at good things, so that's what he's doing. He's bringing in good things into his life. And the truth of the matter is that there are different tikkunim for these types of averas that I saw brought, and I'm gonna Bez Hashem either today or next time to talk about some of the tikkunim. Some of them might seem like this is just like a child's play. It's just like a game. If I do this or I do that, so then I'll fix the problem. You have to do a real tshuva. Obviously, you have to do a real tshuva. We're not talking not that way, but there are ways. The Chazal that the Gedolim of previous Doros have told us that we need to make a tikkun to our bodies, for taking in those bad things. So if we take in good things in its place, there's a way of healing those things. So some of those the eitzes are with regard to that, looking at kaddish things, looking at the letters, the oisius in the Sefer Torah, either when you're getting an aliyah or during Hagbah. People are very makbid to come to look at, to see the letters in the Sefer Torah. That is a school to clear your eyes, to clean your eyes from what was taken in. All the other things, there are other segulas also. I'm just talking about for Shemiras Einayim. There are certain things, looking at the shin on the tefillin before you put it on, after you put it on. These are things that brought down by Svarim that they help me mitaken the eyes. And again, it's because we've taken things into ourselves. It affects us. When we look, those things that we look at go in. And like we've discussed in the past, once they're in, they come out at sometimes very, very bad times. They come out at the worst possible times. And like we discussed last time about they come out during Shemona Esrei, they come out during Makoimos and places in times of Kedusha. And we all of a sudden start thinking about what we saw here or there, or we looked at here or there. And some of these things could even be very old. It could be things that we haven't looked at in years, and that's very sad. But it's just a metzias. That's just the way it is. It's something that once it's inside of you, it's very, very hard to get out. And say also, they say, but I didn't see the source for this, but that when Yaakov came to Mitzrayim and he saw Yosef for the first time, one of the things that he wanted to see, when he looked into his eyes, he wanted to see, is this the same Yosef? And he was able to tell by looking at his eyes, is there any blemish? Is there any mum in his eyes? Because he'd be able to tell in a second if Yosef used his eyes in the wrong way during the time that he was alone in Mitzrayim. If he used it in the wrong way, he will see even something small. And Lemaise, he wasn't able to find anything because Yosef remained pure in Mitzrayim, and that's a koyach for all of us. So enachanami. Sometimes we might say, look, it's already done. I'm already have the mum on me. It's already there. So yeah, okay, but we don't want to do it more. We don't want to do it worse. Yeah, we don't want to give the Yetzer Hara more ammunition. We're gonna fight now. We should just know that and this hopefully could be a chizuk. Sometimes people get more chizuk from positive things. Some people get more chizuk from fearful, scary things, and there are studying for both. That the more we take in, the more we're going to have to fight later, and it's very scary and very difficult. So, daikvar, we don't need to take in anymore. That's one aspect. The other aspect is the opposites. When we're looking at something, we're with them. If I look at that, it means I have shaykhus to that thing. It means I'm over there. Not just that I'm taking it into me, but as I'm with them, I have shaykhus to. Why are you looking at the thing? Does that have anything to do with you? Does that thing over there that you're looking at, that person, that picture, do you have shaykhus to that thing? When you're looking at something, it's saying, yes, I do. I do have shaykhus to that thing. And that's a very scary thing. Because do you really want to have shaykhus to that thing? Do you really want to connect to that thing that you're looking at? You might just say, well, I'm just looking, and then I'll go on with the rest of my life. But it's not true. We do connect. When you look at something, you do connect. We find that in other ways too. We find that in positive and negative ways also. Bila Marosha, when he wanted to look, he wanted to curse Klal Yisrael, he wanted to find a place where he could put an ayin hara on them. He wanted to look at them in order to place something bad on them. And Moshe Rabbeinu, before he was nifter and he went up to see Eretz Yisrael, he tried to put an ayin toiva onto Eretz Yisrael to put good ashbos. You're putting yourself over there. Yeah, that's what's happening when we're looking at something. That's what we're doing. We have to realize that it's not just okay, I did something. Yeah, this is something that creates a much bigger bond than we realize, and it's a ruchni bond. It's true. Macholos asuras is a terrible aveira. And it's worse than other aveiras because it actually becomes part of your flesh. It becomes part of your guf. Lamaisa, though, that doesn't necessarily become part of your neshama. Yeah, it doesn't. What? What happens in mitamtim lev is that your body becomes drawn down. It gets pulled down towards the Gashmi's world. It makes you less excited to do avodas Hashem. But when we connect with our neshama, granted, it can't taint our neshama completely. But when we're putting the garbage directly on the neshama instead of putting on the guf, it's just as bad, not worse, than being metamtem our guf. Mamish putting it directly on our neshama. Besides, it could also physically hurt us. It brought from Reb Chaim Pelagi that a person's eyesight and physical abilities can be hurt by looking at things. We say in davening, our eyes should be zoiche. Our eyes should be zoiche to see. We're only going to see if we have pure eyes. Kodesh Baruch Hu there's not going to be only. I mean, there'll probably be also a physical redemption, but there will be something amazing, a spiritual, a ruchni Yeshua that will be unbelievable. Only the people who have eyes to see it will be able to see it. Those are the people will be able to see it. And we're asking Hashem, please let my eyes be zoiche to see it. And that's why another reason why we need to keep ourselves pure. He brings here from the Gemara in Avodah Zarah that the Malach HaMovis is seen when he comes to take a person's neshama away. He looks like all he is just a bunch of eyeballs. That's what it is. It's a bunch of eyeballs, and they create such a fear by the person who's dying. He sees all this creature. Well, all it is eyeballs. What is that? That's us. Yeah, that's the our chatoim, and they're looking at us. They're the edus against us for what for all the averas. That's a Malach HaMavis doesn't have the ability to take us, if not for our sins. Oh, there are people who died with only the chait of the Nachash, the chait of Adam Rishon. Only those people. Einachanam, you have a shaila on those people. Yeah. So the people who died with who didn't sin, I don't have an answer to those questions, but there are.
Die.
Yeah.
Because they're perfect. That's it. You have nothing to look here.
Okay, so maybe the Malach HaMavis doesn't kill them. Maybe they die in a different way without the Malach HaMavis.
Moshe Rabbeinu.
Moshe Rabbeinu. I don't want to go into the there are certain midrashim that the machlek is with other midrashim. I just saw a midrash yesterday, a couple of days ago, that says that every person has a chet, at least 4 chatoim, so that nobody should go to Adam Rishon and have tainas on Adam Rishon and says, I only died because of you. I'm not here to speak lashon hara about anybody, what the chet of each individual was. The point is that the eyes certainly, it's quite scary to picture this, that's how the Malach HaMavis is coming at us. He's coming at us with eyes, because first of all, the eyes is the edus against us for all any chait that a person does, not just for Shemiras Einayim. But it's just kind of ironic that that's what it is. That it's the eyes, and certainly the chatoim of the eyes are the worst. Obviously, we don't have to talk so much about the punishment in Gehenna, especially because I can't tell you that I know much about it. But like we discussed before, the schar that a person gets for holding back, he'll certainly receive. Even a person who falls, even a person who gives in, but the more he'll hold back, or he stops himself, he stops from doing it. Even if he gave in for 10 minutes and then stops, but still he stopped. Even he gave in for an hour and then he stopped, but he still stopped. That's still something. Yeah, I gave him for an hour and 1 minute. I could have given in. I could have kept going. I could have. And every one of those things really makes a difference. Maybe we have a little bit of time now, so I will go through some of the other things that the tikkunim that a person can have for to fix his eyes, to take away the mumim that are on a person's eyes. We discussed the Reishis Chachma brings when a person gets an aliyah to look and follow the words, look at the letters in a Sefer Torah, or by Hagbah, there's a very special great light. Again, I don't necessarily know what these things mean, but from great people it's brought, and there are obviously koichos in the world that we can't see them physically. We can't see them, but we know that they're there, and when a person is doing it l'shem shamayim, not just stamp because it's a school, a person is doing it because he really wants to be misakin. Yeah, a person can't say.
What do you mean when a guy does for his gula because he wants?
But the word is
not to believe in the gula, to believe what the gula is.
You're doing it with a combination of tshuva. Yeah, you're doing it together with. I'm gonna go look at something, and then afterwards I'll look into Sefer Torah and I'll fix it. Yeah, I'm gonna go look at this and this and this, and then I'll fix it up by doing that. Yeah, it doesn't work like. Right. That certainly doesn't work. So obviously, when we're talking about doing these tikkunim, it's in combination with a real sincere effort to control what we look at and to do tshuva for what we've done. Looking at the face of a tzaddik, also there's a certain light that's given off. We see, by Moshe Rabbeinu, it's more mafurish because all Klal Yisrael saw the great light on his face. But the truth is that there's kedusha in tzaddikim, and staring at the face of a tzaddik also. Looking at a shul, or looking at a base medrash, looking at Aron Kodesh, looking at the Shem Havaya, just looking at the letters of the Shem Havaya, concentrating on them. Like you said, the shins of the tefillin brought down by the Ben Yoyada. The Pele Yoetz brings about looking at one's tzitzis. There's a famous one brought in Shari Tshuva. Rabbeinu Yonah says in Shari Tshuva that in order to be mesakin for the chait of lo sasura charei levavchem v'charei einechem, a person's tears, if a person cries over a chait, he has mamish charat to the point where a person cries, so those tears are mechaper for the chait of lo sasura charei einechem. So it's these are, this is brought by many of the Rishonim Achronim. These things we don't understand how they work, but certainly they do work. Yeah, especially if we have Emunas Chachamim, we have Emunah Chazal. So these things certainly do work. I even read a story recently about Rav Glustein. Not recently, I didn't read the story recently, but Rav Glustein is still alive in our door. Yeah, Rav Glustein is one of the Ramim in Yeshivas Mir in Yerushalayim. He's one of the son-in-laws of Rabbeinu Finkel, and in the Mir, he's very well known. He's married to one of the daughters of Rabbeinu Finkel. He was a brother-in-law of Nosson Tzvi, and the story that I read about him was about a person who was at his house that he heard that he was sitting there, and one of Rav Glustein's children started choking. And nobody moved. Nobody was. This is told from the story of the Bach who was there at the meal, and he's choking. And the mother, daughter of Rabbanish, asked the child, "Which bone are you choking on? What are you choking on?" So the child pointed to a bone on the table, on the plate, like a chicken bone, whatever it was. The mother picked it up and put it on the child's forehead. It was a girl, put it on her forehead and started mumbling something. And a few moments later, the child was fine. And his boch is watching, what's going on over here? So he said, I'm not sure if it was Gemara Shabbos, Gemara Chulin, that they opened up, that there's this skula that the Gemara says to do. If a person's choking, you should take the bone that they're choking on and put it on the forehead and say this and this. And it's Gemara and Shabbos, I think. Yeah. Okay. The Maisa, I'm not here to tell you. I'm not telling you what to do, but I'm telling you this is the Maisa. This is the Maisa, and you can go ask Rav Glustein himself. Yeah, this is not something that was 100 years ago. You can go to the mirror and ask him himself. This was a story that was written up, right? And he asked, if you have a Munas Chachamim, Mamish, then it will work. If a person doesn't have a Emunas Chachamim and he pretends that he does, so that's not gonna happen. That's what happened to Avram Avinu's brother. Yeah, Avram Avinu's brother Haran waited to see what was gonna be, and he saw Avram Avinu's brother Haran. Yeah, was waiting to see what's gonna happen. Avram was thrown into an Tikshan Eish, and he came out unscathed, and they asked. Whose side are you on? I'm on Avram Avinu's side, so they threw him into the fire, and he was burnt up because he didn't have that same level that Avram Avinu had. He didn't have that level of emunah. If you really, really trust and believe in it, then it will work. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing with all of these schools. If you really trust and you know that it's going to work, then it will. And if you don't, so then it won't. Yeah, basically we are the ones who give the koyach to these things. So if a person really wants to be mizakin, a person really wants to be mizakin, he can try these. He can. And lemaisa, he really wants to work, and it will work. It will work. We don't understand this, and we won't even necessarily see it happen. But it will play out in other ways. For example, all of a sudden, he won't be coming up anymore in Shemona Esrei or other places, these thoughts, these pictures. They won't be coming up in our head anymore because a person really wanted to get rid of them. And slowly it will work. again, in conjunction with tshuva, in conjunction with truly wanting to overcome this nisayon, so then, yes, the segulas will work. The other things, the Pelayoid brings crying over the death of a tzaddik, or longing for Mashiach, or the Aruch HaSadikim brings that when a person is crying, you should say my tears should extinguish your anger, and my improved behavior turn your wrath away from me. You should say things like that. Hashem, please help me. And those things do work. A person really wants to be mitayer at atzmo, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will help him. And there are specific segulas for being mitake in the eyes. And if a person really, really puts in effort, then Hashem will help him. But if I don't try for myself first, if I don't really put in the effort, then Hashem is not going to help me if I don't try. But if I do try, Hashem will help me. And I will see results, and things will get better, and I will make certain tikkunim. But it's very hard. It's not so simple things. On the one hand, yes, it's true. Really, we can't really take away what we've already seen. It's in us already. But if we really want it, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not going to necessarily hold it against us. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is interested in us becoming Torah just as much, if not more, than we are. HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to help us. The more effort that we put in, and we really try, and we really put in and do some of these skulas also, especially from Rabbeinu Yonah, to cry over our aveiros. That means it's a real charata. Then we cleanse ourselves. We do. And we have the ability to separate ourselves from those things that we attached ourselves to, and to take out those things that we brought into ourselves. Be'ez Hashem, we will become a little bit at a time more pure until a person can totally rid himself of this aveira. Be'ez Hashem, we should all be simcha.
Thank you for listening. To hear more shurim like this one, go to jfoundations.com. If you would like to support us or sponsor an episode, go to jfoundations.com/support.